So where else are you being dishonest? Where else are you hiding?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it truly you're being dishonest? Is it truly like relationships with a friend or that particular person? Do you realize that, oh my gosh, I'm like so afraid of her, so I just say that? Are you afraid to maybe end a relationship that is no longer serving you, but it's uncomfortable, so we're afraid to do it?
Yeah.
Are you afraid for that person to not see who your true values are because they may not accept it? Are you afraid to let go of that version of you that people see that you don't even want them to see?
Yes.
Yes, girl.
Yes.
You know
I
what
feel
I
like I'm
mean?
in therapy right now.
Welcome back to the Delulu Magic Podcast. I'm Paola.
And I'm Gabby, and today we have a very special guest here with us, Dhara, who is a leadership and entrepreneur mentor.
Yes.
And we're very excited. I know myself, I'm very excited. I've been following you. Our momager did a podcast with you at the beginning of this year, I believe. And I just was like, she told me a little bit about you, and I was like, oh my gosh, I love that, especially I'm going to say it being minorities and all that. I don't find a lot, like I've talked about before. We're very inspired. Like I've been inspired by a lot of men, just seeing that constantly, or read or listened to things for years. So in this year I have found and then a lot of women to follow and listen to their knowledge, and then having somebody local, it's been, such a gift for me to see.
Yes. And that juggles so much, right? Because it's different, man versus a female, that we are juggling our own businesses, motherhood, still helping with our parents, right? And it's just a lot. And I'd love to, understand how you do it all and make it look so easy at times. But also I love how you're just it is a lot. And, I think finding that balance. So please tell us a little bit about your journey and your story, because I find it really interesting. And some people find themselves in a position like that, but they don't leave. They don't take that leap. Right. And you're just kind of repeating that same old story. So tell us a little bit about how you got into this and a little bit about your journey.
Absolutely. First of all, thank you guys for having me. Yeah. I'm so excited to be here. Yes, I met Mama Jera, as you guys call her. Yes. We were both on the same podcast guest, and that was awesome. We were just so chitty chatty, and I was just like, she's a whole vibe. So yes, thank you for getting me connected to you guys. Happy to be here. I agree when you said, there's not a lot of women like us out there. And, I think that's probably one of my most favorite compliments whenever so I've been doing a lot of speaking this year, and every time I run into people randomly, whether it's at an event or at Target, and they're like, oh my gosh, I've heard you speak. My favorite thing that they say, going back to your point, is I don't see people that look like me on stages. Representation matters. And so I think for me, that's very important and part of my message when I work with clients, and honestly, probably my whole life story. So, it's your traditional story. I was born in India, came to the States at the age of 2.5 years old with my parents and my older brother. And we moved to the East Coast originally. Then we came to the West Coast and went through endless struggles, and not just the finances. I feel like majority of us all grew up not, comfortable, or even we were all survival mode, right? But more than that, and I went through the whole immigration struggle. So, when we look at the news and everything happening, it's triggering, right? Because I resonate.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
There was a time where it was on the table because I aged out, even though we put in our file for, getting a green card. It was taking forever, and I was getting older. And so just having gone through so many things, from being an immigrant to figuring out to life here, multi-identity, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm South Asian, but I'm also Indian.
Yeah.
And, how do I embrace all of that? And honestly, I haven't even embraced it until I became a mom. And I have 2 boys, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't want you guys to be embarrassed to be Indian. You should love it, because I was beyond embarrassed, So yeah, has dealt with financial hardships as a family unit growing up. Obviously, the immigration thing, that was a struggle. Balancing the multi-identities, dating, that could be its own separate
That's
podcast.
Oh gosh, yes.
To figuring out, work challenges. And then for me, I also struggled with conceiving. So like my first son, he's through IVF. That in itself was a journey, especially in the South Asian culture. That's like so taboo.
Yeah.
I was so embarrassed. Like I didn't talk about it at all. Like my mom knew, and my best friend at the time, and my husband, and like I kept it so hush hush because I felt so embarrassed. So it's been many years of unpacking all the things that society has taught us that are bad or embarrassing, or let's just not talk about it, and normalizing it. And I love when there's forums and spaces that are created like you guys have, where you're bringing people to talk about those stories. Let's normalize it, because I know I'm not the only one that went through financial hardship. I know I'm not the only one that went through immigration issues, and I know that I'm not the last one, right? So kudos to you guys for bringing people to share their stories, because I know it's going to resonate, mine and others and everyone's, because at the end of the day, like for me, regardless of, I love doing lots of random things as well. I'm also multi-hyphenated.
Yeah. I love that.
Yes.
At the end of the day, it's like, I don't ever want anyone to feel alone, and if we can find a way to have connection and make sure people can feel seen and feel courage to just be themselves, like that is the whole point, right? Like we shouldn't be shunning anyone for existing in their natural form, right? And so in all like facets of my work and journey, it's always led up to that. And honestly, in like the recent years, I finally had the courage to be like, you know what, this is me, this is my story, these are all the things that have happened, and let's help everyone in that capacity. So it's like a high summary without all the specifics. So we could get into all of that as you guys want.
Yes. Okay.
I absolutely love that, and I love that you're so open with it, because I think we need more of that. The same for us. I think a lot of times you hide who you are. Like, what am I supposed to be? I want to fit in. And now that in my 40s finally, and I think in Gabby's as well, is when you feel like, I'm going to be myself. And it's so freeing, and being vulnerable and helping people feel less alone, because I think that was a big thing for us as well. We all go through this, and you're polished on Instagram and everybody, but you're not really saying, hey, I struggle, and I've had things that have not gone well for me, or and people just feeling like they're the only ones. And so I absolutely love everything that you just mentioned, and even like the fact that the living in survival, right? How did that impact you as you continue, like just in your life as an adult? Like, was that something that you really had to focus on and actually face to figure out how to not continue living in survival as an adult?
That's funny that you're asking that particular question, because as I was driving and pulling up on this long ass driveway, by the way, I just hung up with my mom and we were talking, and then it just, I didn't call anyone after my mom, because I was just reflecting on the conversations and whatnot. And I was just, for whatever reason, the thought of money came into my head. And I was just thinking, I was like, oh, it was very interesting how, like, at that immigrant new phase coming to America, broke as fuck. Can I say that?
Yeah.
Yes,
okay.
of course.
It was such, it was such a time.
Yeah.
And then even when I got my first big girl job, I was still a broke ass bitch, because I never learned how to save money and be smart. And it wasn't until, honestly, I got married, and like, you have two incomes and two perspectives, and it's not just my money, it's our money. So like, I've been with my husband 14 years. So 14 years ago is when I truly learned how to not be a dumbass and secure your future and spend wisely and all of that. So to your point, that it is a lot of unlearning, but it's unlearning, and it's also healing, because when you're deprived and you don't have that, and then you see some money, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna go buy that thing and all of that. but not thinking futuristic, right? So that I feel like many of us in that generation, in that journey of life when we went through that, experienced that. Because even a lot of my girlfriends, one of my best friends, Liz, back in the day, she's Hispanic, and same thing, like, humble beginnings. And when we made money, we just spent it all because we didn't know, we weren't taught how to save. And that era of not any wrongdoings of our parents, because they weren't as educated on that either, right? It's like as they learned, we learned, and we all continue to learn, right? But in that era, when we made money, we just lived in the now. Okay, cool, we made that money, let's have a big party and celebrate and all of that, rather than like, let's have a mediocre party and put some of this away for a rainy day, So, and it's funny how that trickles on.
Yeah.
And you have to stop and be like, wait, I don't like the paycheck to paycheck life. That's not sitting well with me. And then after you become a mother, you're like, dang, I'm definitely not teaching you guys that, right? So how to be smart with finances, honestly, it did not come together for me until my husband and I got married. And I was like, wow, like we should figure this out, because now it's not just my life. If I spend my whole paycheck, it's yours and or potentially our future kids and all of that. So it makes you responsible. But it's crazy how our immigrant journey doesn't necessarily prepare you for that. You know,
you don't even realize that your subconscious like patterns, and until one day you really have to look at it
and analyze and realize that, oh my gosh, like that's great, we're moving on up, but like to scale and pave the way for others, we have to also stop and learn. And most importantly, humble down to be like, okay, that's great, you made that big girl paycheck, but you better be putting some of that away. Right? So, 14 years ago when I really mastered it.
That's pretty good.
That's a big thing to our viewers.
There is. I do agree with you that especially immigrant kids, that if you're not, nobody talks about money's a taboo subject, right? Like everything else in our culture. So nobody discussed it. In my household, we didn't discuss. My family did. We come from nothing, built a lot, but taught to almost like you don't have enough and save it and don't ever splurge. So mine went kind of the other way, where it was like always save because the world could end, which they were right. Sometimes now I'm like,
sometimes
okay, you're right. Yeah. Shit does happen and you need to be prepared. But not having those conversations, I think, has to do with everybody was in survival. Our parents were always just, I have found a lot of forgiveness this year. I've done a lot of therapy and all that, but I'm like, okay, you did the best. Like that's what it is. I have to continuously tell myself that. But I have to remember, hey, now I need to teach myself, because I do have children. Mine are older, all the things, but I have to remember, how can I learn so I can give them some tools, because now we have all the information, right? And it doesn't take away that there's still a lot of healing to be done
for sure,
for all of our taboo subjects, So hearing and going to find like mentors, like such as yourself, right? Because I feel like that's what you do. You teach a lot of us women, and I'm sure there's men, but that to look for somebody that has more experience, that has done the things that you're looking for, maybe give you guidance. Because I find too that so I didn't graduate college. That's a big thing that I hold. I'm like, I got married very young. My family, we have our own business, so it was like, okay, get married and go to work, And now they're like, no, we weren't. I'm like, yeah, you were. That's how that everybody that did go to college still came to work for the family, because it's very tight knit. But that held me back. Like I always felt like shame around that, and Paula knows that I was like, I'm not smart enough. I don't know if I could do this. And then I, later in my 40s, I was like, no, I actually do know shit. I can handle it now, and it's taken me a few years to be able to be okay with it. But finding now, again, people that I can learn from, it reassures me that, okay, I'm doing, it's okay. It's not just the man that's going to do all the things. Yes. Not that I hate men, but I'm just saying, it just,
sometimes we can't.
It always feels like that because I do come from a very like Hispanic culture of where the man says everything, controls everything. Not my husband, it's just my family of origin, I call it. So that has been very hard to navigate, especially as you get late into your late 40s. It's like, I'm checked out of that one.
No, but you should definitely celebrate. I mean, I think the fact that, regardless of finishing college or not, but the fact that you went into hustling in the family business. Yeah. I truly believe you don't need a formal MBA to run a business. Sometimes it's just boots to the ground, and those will be your best lessons. And that is so worthy of celebration, because let's be real, you can, and P.S., like, I'm not saying don't go get your MBA, like, definitely do that if it's in your cards and something you want. But the reason I say that is, many people could have just not even pursued anything, and then have that as a bigger regret, to say, dang, like, I got married young, and then I was a homemaker not by choice, and like there's remorse there, right? But at least you did pursue something. So I think that's worthy of celebrating, and just like an MBA. So kudos to you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
she's a badass. Absolutely.
Yeah, everybody is here.
we're all badasses.
We're all. So I want to know a little bit. I know I have followed you at all of your story, but you obviously were very successful. You hit all the top marks. So I read the story, but I most of our followers, I would want them to hear kind of like what kind of, tell us how you kind of got there, and then what happened for you to come to this space of freedom, I call it.
Yes, let's do it. Okay, so when we're talking about my professional journey, I did everything on the box, right? There's a checklist that society set up, and parents and culture and all of that. So I did that. Went to college, graduated, got a job. I graduated during the recession time, so I don't know how old your audience is, but anyways, there was a time when it was hard to find a job. So, but again, humble beginnings. You apply, and whatever you get, you're going to take it. And my goal was, I'm not going back home. Like, I graduated, I'm going to be a big girl in some capacity. We're going to figure this shit out. And so I got my first job, which honestly was the most humbling job ever. I worked at Enterprise Rental Car. That is actually where I started my big girl, not hourly paid, but like salary. And at that time, I made $31,000 living in Seattle.
Wow.
Driving ridiculously far, to like half my money was like spent on gas, and the other half cute outfits for the weekend. So,
because
broke ass 30,000-year-old. But so I started off at Enterprise Rental Car, which honestly was such a great foundation. Like, it humbled my ass real quick.
They also have great training. I've heard,
they do have a great business, ops training. They really do. Because I'm like decked out in a suit, renting a car, and then cleaning it in the back.
Oh,
like, talk about being humble. I'm just like, okay. But again, like, no harm, no foul. I was making my money, 31,000. Let's go. And then from there, I landed my big girl job, which that's probably the only good thing that came out of that dumb ex-boyfriend, is that ex-boyfriend's friend was talking to someone that worked at KPMG, and he was just like, oh, we need to hire people for the team. And he was like, oh, I think my friend's ex-girlfriend works here, but I don't think that's her dream job. So long story short, that was probably the best thing that happened from that douchebag, but landed me to work at KPMG. So I started up there as an entry-level associate. We went from 31,000 to a whopping 42,000.
That's a big jump, though.
Hey. Still broke at the end of it.
With that extra more cuter outfit.
Exactly.
Out of the shoes on.
Right? So, and then, I started off there in Seattle, worked on insane clients. Like, my first client that I worked on was Microsoft. And, 23-year-old working on the biggest client. I had the scariest boss. She was such a bee. And, just little old me trying to, like, figure out this, like, very corporate life. But from there, I grew the ranks from associate all the way to manager. And during my 11 years there, I worked on all the big high profile clients. I did several rotations into like the business side of like the tech side of our organization. I went on a 6-month assignment to India and created and built our practice that we had here that I was hired for, because my division didn't exist and they were building it, which is why I got hired. I went and built and trained our team in India. So like I've done a lot of amazing things at that place. And then from there, met my husband at some point and then moved to Dallas. They asked me to move to Dallas. I actually quit because I was like, finally, I got a man. I'll start over. Like, let's just, have a fresh start. But because I was so good on the Microsoft engagement, they had another high profile client in Dallas, but the team in Dallas didn't know how to do it. So they're like, how about you go there? You won't have to deal with the mean boss. Like you'll have a new fresh start. And so we moved to Dallas, did that implementation. Me and my husband got married. We started off our life there because he's from North Carolina. I'm from Seattle. So it was great. We were like near no family. And I was like, perfect. We don't need to worry about that kind of drama. And then from Dallas, transferred to Houston when my husband got the job. And I like paint that whole segue because during the 11 years there, I worked on high profile clients. I worked on the tech side. I did implementation. So like I can talk tech too. I got to do a lot in HR because I built our whole internship program. I got to do a lot of recruiting. I got to sit at the table with clients and big wigs. And mind you, I'm just like a 23-year-old climbing all the way up. And it was such a journey. And it was also a time during that time I didn't realize was actually like such a dark time, because the things that were happening in my career there, even though like I'm saying out loud to you and it sounds so amazing and lavish, it was 100% grateful for the opportunities. It made me so smart and badass because I can like easily pick up as like not good candidate, because I still obviously do recruiting for some of my clients. But it was a time that I always felt like I didn't belong. And it was because of the people in the organization that didn't allow me to grow and blossom. Men and women. And it was until I had the courage to leave, I didn't realize how I was actually so far backwards. Like I was so behind in life. And long story short, during the pandemic, I finally quit on the whim. We were trapped at home. I had 2 toddlers. Life was lifing. World's falling apart. All the things were happening in the news. My heart was breaking, especially with, watching just horrific things happen to various communities, the Black Lives Movement and everything. And my team that I managed looked very diverse, and I care about my team. I'm a great people manager. And I remember the Monday meeting after the horrible George Floyd incident, we're like just having a regular meeting. Like everyone's just chitty chatting. Like, okay, well, when's this deliverable? What do we have to do for staffing? And I'm like just sitting there, and the manager called, and I was like, are we like not even like impacted by the news? Like, are we serious? Like, this isn't about like a color thing or who you voted for. This is like a humanity thing happening. Like, how are we not even addressing the elephant in the room? So we had like 10 minutes left, and they're like, anything else we need to discuss? And I was like, the news, the team, how it's impacting all of us. And I remember one of the senior managers, she's like, Dhara, you care too much. I was like, well, we don't care. Then like, what's the point of all of this work? If we don't care about each other, then how are we going to be able to care for our clients, right? It was so heartbreaking. And again, many things had led up in my 11 years there that kept telling me like, man, you should leave. Like, it's time. But I just didn't, because it's scary. And coming from our background, when you find something, you stay with it. You don't mess it up. Be a loyal ride or die. And so I kept with it. But that was the straw that broke the camel's back, because I was looking at my kids and I was like, what kind of mother am I going to be if I am going to participate in an organization, in a team that's not acknowledging humanity, like this is going to go against all my core values. So I like went into my husband's office and I was like, yeah, I think we're done. Like I literally fell to the floor. Like, too bad there wasn't like a camera, because like I like dramatically fell. I was like sobbing. My little toddlers in diapers were like, "Mama," and I'm just like, My husband's like, "What happened?" And so I told him, and he was like, "It's time. Let's quit." So I quit on the whim. I didn't have anything lined up. This is during the pandemic, so it's not like people are like, you know, people, but it was just necessary. I quit, and then I pivoted because I wanted to get into more HR and people strategy. And I went from being there for 11 years, associate, all the way to manager. Then when I quit, I landed my job as a director of human resources at a startup company. And let me tell you, all my haters that were like, "Oh, you shouldn't leave, you're not going to make it, you know, at the place." They were all up in my DMs. They're like, "Oh, congratulations." I was like, "Oh, yes."
Like, y'all got another position for me.
Yeah, y'all didn't think I can make it, right? So that was really funny. That was one of the most amazing places I worked for. The best boss ever.
That makes such a difference.
Like, he is the dream. I still stay in touch with him. He was the best. Like, I love him so much. He's amazing. But it was a tech company startup, so I got laid off. So that was unfortunate. And then I got my dream girl job, you know, marking off the checklist, associate, manager, director. So we just climbing the ranks. The day I got laid off is the day I get a call from a recruiter and said, "Are you looking for a job?" And I was like, 30 minutes ago, I am. Yes. What's happening?
God, universe is so crazy sometimes, right?
You know, but I said I kind of wish I didn't get that call, because it didn't turn out too well, but it's okay. But it taught me a lot. But from that, I landed my last corporate role before I started my business, and I became a chief people officer. So when we're talking CEOs and stuff, it's basically on the people strategy, the C-suite. So that was a great job. I was the only person of color, only young person. Like, nobody makes C-suite at the age of 36. I did. It was a great time, learned a lot, and then got fired because, you know, I was just doing my job, but not everyone wanted me to do my job. And, you know, just bullshit. I signed an NDA, so can't get into too much detail. But anyways, let's just say it was not performance-based. But haters will hate.
Yes. Some
and
people
that's
don't
fine.
want to see. Yeah,
That's true.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
And so that chapter ended. I was heartbroken, but also like so freaking relieved. But then talking about culture, it's like when I remember talking to my parents, and my dad was just like, "What did you do?"
Yeah.
You know, but they don't understand politics, corporate politics, you know. And my husband, who is the sweetest, never talks back to, especially my dad. He had to step into that FaceTime to be like, "Dad, it was not her. Lots of things happened, lots of not kind people. You know, it was an unfair situation for her that it was bound to happen, you know." But I carried so much shame and guilt, you know, and especially when my parents were so proud. My daughter's a C-suite, you know, like that's amazing, you know. And for the longest time, I never shared it. I just said, "Yeah, it was over," and then I left, because I also carried the shame and embarrassment. And I was just like, man, I fucked up. Like, you know, even though I knew I didn't, but you start playing those mind games. You start self-guessing, self-doubting. And then I obviously was job hunting, trying to figure stuff out. And my husband's like, "You need to find something like the director job where there's a great company, a great culture, a great boss, and they're going to like truly let you do your craft because you're so great at it." And so I was being, particular in the application process. But at that time, pause on this part of the story, but in 2020, I started doing coaching. And by that, I mean, people were reaching out and wanting to pay me. And I was like, okay, sure. And a lot of my clients, now this is where God does his magic, came out of the woodwork right when I got fired. And we're like, Dhara, I need executive coaching. And so I just randomly took him on as I'm job hunting. And my husband's just like, you've been coaching since college. You've been making money off of it since 2020. He's like, fuck the corporate stuff. Why don't you just double down on this? And I was like, you onto something.
You're like, I'm
For
great
once-
boss.
for
It's
once.
a good culture here.
Yeah. I
can
was
say
like,
it.
you know what? For once, I'm gonna
with what you
say
say.
you did good, babes. So yeah, I doubled down and created my LLC and created my website, and we just went ham with it. And here we are, coaching with Dhara.
Oh my gosh, sorry.
Long ass winded story. Sorry.
No.
But you got to know the
story. You
details
gotta
to
know how you
understand.
got here,
To
how you-
appreciate.
Yeah, to get to.
The journey.
Yeah.
So well, one thing you said, because I definitely want to talk about what type of people you coach, what is it that they're looking for, but you mentioned core values, and I find that really interesting because I do think that so many times we continue on a job, right, on this trajectory, like you said, it checks off a list, but because it's our identity, like what am I if I'm not that, right? What am I going to be? We tie it so much to that. And we don't even think, it's almost like being in the drift. We don't think about if it matches our core values. And to be honest with you, I honestly didn't even think about my core values. I'm like, what are your values? I don't like when my therapist sat down and asked me. So pretty much my late 30s, early 40s. But why is it so important to be true to your values? And is this something that you like start with your clients like early on? Is this like a big like building block?
It is the first thing I do in every coaching session, number one, because they'll all come to me and say, hey, Dhara, I want to work on getting a promotion. I want to be a better speaker in meetings. And, you know, they all come to me with all of those things. And that's great. And we're going to work on all of that. Don't get me wrong. But the number one session always starts with core values. And I like to talk about it and pull it in. And then I send them home virtually with a worksheet to really have them dissect it and pause and look at it. And I complement the core values with asking them to do a time audit. Because we can say all of these things are so important. These are my core values. This is what I stand for. Beautiful. Check yourself. Go look in the mirror. Go look in the mirror. Like, do your core values line up with how you're spending your time and energy? And that's when the work begins, because they're just like, oh, they're not aligned.
Yeah.
They could be there, not saying that you're lying in your core values, but when you're coming to me because you're feeling misaligned and overwhelmed and burnt out, it's because your North Star, you don't even know where it is. And when you're able to fully lock into that, that's when the magic happens, right? So yes, to your answer, to your question, my first sessions always starts off with identifying what are your core values, truly, and I complement that with asking them to do a time audit and say, okay, well, tell me, like, you're saying this, but does your time reflect that?
Yeah.
And for our audience members that don't even know where to start with that, so what are some core values that usually like are the main ones that you see? I feel like there's so many.
There's so many, and you know, when we're thinking core values, it could be anywhere from like service to people to faith to integrity. You know, there's so many, and when I have the exercise done by my clients, I usually have professional core values along with the personal, and they do intertwine. Obviously they're interdependent, but you know, there are some differences, right? So those are a few examples, and that's going to tie to, let's take integrity. I think that's a really good one, because when we're saying I'm just going to be blunt and honest and, like, you know, show up and all of that, and ooh, her shoes are not cute. Oh girl, they're so cute. That's your core values aren't aligned. There's work that needs to be done. You're telling me you're going to be an honest person. You're saying you don't like her shoes, but you telling her, oh my gosh, oh, they're so cute. There's misalignment. Yeah. That's a simple example, but when you peel that back, like, think about it. Like, are you like, what, like, you're not being honest, not only with yourself, but in your relationships. So where else are you being dishonest? Where else are you hiding? Yeah. So just think. That's a simple example, right? But there's so much unpacking that can come from that.
Yeah.
Is it truly you're being dishonest? Is it truly like relationships with a friend or that particular person? Do you realize that, oh my gosh, I'm like so afraid of her, so I just say that? Are you afraid to maybe end a relationship that is no longer serving you, but it's uncomfortable, so we're afraid to do it?
Yeah.
Are you afraid for that person to not see who your true values are because they may not accept it? Are you afraid to let go of that version of you that people see that you don't even want them to see?
Yes, girl.
Yes.
You know
I
what
feel
I
like
mean?
I'm in therapy right now.
I know. And I feel like you need somebody to ask those questions, right? Because they're hard questions
They're
to ask
hard.
yourself.
I'm not
and
gonna
to
lie.
be honest. To like
To be
call
honest.
your bullshit,
Yeah.
right? To be
I'm
like,
definitely
is
the
that true?
coach that will.
That's what I was gonna ask.
I'm
That's what I
not
was gonna say. What you're saying, right? Because I feel like almost like it's like a therapeutical conversation to me. Do you find, because you have experienced, that it is better for a person to be with like a non-biased, like they're honest with you because they're coming to you for the help, and then when you start dissecting, do you find that works better than, I guess, just in a normal one-on-one conversation with other humans? Like you are able to go in there, and I know you're so good at it because I'm fascinated, but is it easier being with like a stranger, I guess, is what it is? Are they
yes
all
and
honest?
no.
Yeah.
I mean, I will. My husband will tell me, he'd be like, "Don't be coaching me right now." And I'm like, okay. So
I love it.
it's, for me, because I come from a place of consulting, because I come from a background of HR, I'm very big on privacy. I always tell all my clients, I'm like, look, whatever we talk about, there will be no name drop. I don't even talk to my husband and say, oh, guess what, Susie said. Like, no, I will always say my client is dealing with something like this. It's none of anyone's business, right? And I do have clients that I know. People from my companies have been working with me. And then I have randos who I don't know and they find me. So for me, as long as you're going to show up to do the work, we're going to do the work. Yeah. And can I pull it out of anyone? Yeah, I can. But it's also when you find that person, like I tell everyone, look, like if someone's super like, oh my gosh, she's my coach, but I'm like, man, there's something off, I won't say yes. Because I don't want to do you wrong. Yeah. Right. And I truly believe in chemistry and I truly believe in the art of coaching. I'm a certified coach. So I not only am, sharing tools and resources based on my professional experience. I went through a whole rigorous IPEC coaching program. So I'm certified as well, because I know every Tom, Dick, and Harry's a coach right now. And no, not everyone is a legit coach. So I say that because I do take pride. I don't want to be a coach that's giving you my opinion, because that's not my job. And the true definition of a qualified executive coach is going to be asking you and probing you with the appropriate questions and thoughts and whatnot to have you unpeel it. And I'm just showing up with no judgment. I'm just over here asking you like, okay, but why that shoe? Why not that shoe? Because I like this one. Okay, great. Like, I'm not going to be like, well, girl, I would have went with the other pair. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's the essence of a coach. And I always tell everyone that. Be like, if your coach is telling you, Gabby, I think you need to do this. Paul, I think you need to do this. That's a consultant. That's a mentor. If you are looking for that higher consciousness and you're truly wanting to like figure out which version of you want to be proud of showing up in a leadership space in your business, for your family, in whatever capacity you come to me for, it's going to be you doing the work and me challenging you. That's really it. Right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What type of woman? Is it usually women or men? But is it a lot of women?
No, it's both.
Okay.
It's both.
So how are you seeing like a theme? Where is it that, I guess, are they feeling stuck? Are they feeling like, who is the type of person that's coming to you? And so that the audience can kind of understand, is this something that would be, a fit for them as well?
100%. So in the past year of just formally being heads down, full blown coaching, in the beginning, because I do connect with people naturally, I just kind of took on everyone that made sense and was willing to do the work. And then as I've gotten and coached many, many people, I've definitely started figuring out themes. And what I mean by that is I also, in order to do my magic, have to have messages that resonate that I can work on with people, right? So to answer your question, I coach men and women. And the common theme between all of them, because some of them are business owners, some of them are entrepreneurs, some of them are startups, so executives, some of them are at, in a professional setting. So there's a whole variety. So I don't have like an industry either. I have people in tech, I have people in like pharma, legal, all of it. So none of that either. But the common theme among all of my clients is they're all multi-hyphenated. Mm-hmm. They're not just like, hey, I just want to be a podcaster. It's, hey, I want to be a podcaster, but I also want to be a speaker, and I think I'm going to create content. So it's all of it.
I don't know.
You know, but there's nothing wrong because there's
all.
And I'm good at all of it.
And why not? Because there's such a stigma, right?
Yes.
Like pick your niche, pick one track,
stick to it.
Yeah, and stick to it.
Yeah.
But why? Like, I'm so good at everything. Like, I see her, Momager be posting like, coolest
she
TikToks.
Is,
and I'm just like, yes, girl, let's go. But, like, why not? And that's the thing. Like, even me included, you know, like 5-6 years ago, like, felt like we needed to just pick that, stick, stay with it. Yeah. Eyes on the prize, stay in your lane. Even though there's so many like parts of us, but why not embrace that? And why not just bring it into one personal brand that works for you? Mm-hmm. Like, why can't you do all of it? Because when I identify myself, yes, I'm an executive coach, but I'm also a fractional HR leader. I'm also a speaker. Mm-hmm. I also do workshops. Why do I have to pick?
I love that.
Like,
I think because it was kind of pushed on us a lot here, right? For
especially culturally.
Yeah, culturally, it was like you do what you do, and you better do it, and that's it. And
and you find a job, make the money.
When you get to be 65, maybe you'll have a little free time, and maybe you'll find a hobby.
Yeah, don't get distracted.
Exactly.
But it's like now, I mean, hearing you saying, like, why not? That's what all I'm thinking is why not, right? Because I feel it's so ingrained in us. For us, our generation too, that it was like, we're gonna do it this way, and we gotta get the things done, and okay, now we're here, and it's pretty boring.
And why not do it all of it?
Yeah.
And it's and again, it's not for everyone, because some people are like, I just want to go to my 9 to 5 and then just chill and read a book at home. Beautiful. Yeah. But we don't all need to do that. Yeah. Right. And it's giving everyone permission to just show up how they want. That's who I want to help. Like, if you're like, hey, I just really want to be a great executive and that's my main goal, I'm still going to work with them. But my like favorite clients are the ones that are like, I want to do all the things. I just had a discovery call before I came, and she was like, it was great. She's like, basically, I want to do what you're doing. I want to be a leadership coach. I want to be a speaker. I want to do this and that. I was like, let's go. I was like, I'll show you,
Yes. I always thought it was just our ADHD. I was like, especially recently, I'm like, man, we want to do like so many different things. And I think there is a lot of people be like, no, you need to focus on one, just be laser focused. And because I believe that before it wasn't about being fulfilled, right? It was just like, go to work, make money. That, again, very survival. And some people love that. Yeah. But now I feel like we're in this new era of, what brings you joy? For us, like, that's what we want to do. We only have one life. Yes. I want to bring as much joy and do as many things as we, that fulfill us as we possibly can.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. I agree.
We're, talking to our listeners and our whoever the YouTubers. you can do it all, and it's always good to have resources to look for, like some guidance, right? Absolutely. Do you have, like, I know I see your life, do you find, because I remember hearing, you can balance it and you can have it all, and getting annoyed because there was a time that I was like, there's no freaking way, like there's no way. Then going into what she talked about, that we're like in this generation, her and I, that our parents are getting older, some are sick, all the things. So you get kind of squeezed, and then work, and you kind of let go of some things. I have found it's very hard for me. I'd probably be the ideal candidate, everything you've described. But I have tried to juggle like 10 glass balls, I call them, right? And it's been like almost like paralyzing because I've been like my health has been affected. Yeah. I've been, mental stuff. I've had all the things happen because I've tried to continuously balance it all. So my question is kind of like, do you find that it's possible to do things starting with like the time audit, finding your core values, all those things, you're able to kind of do it all? Or are you at like a space, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but do you find that it's okay? Because I'm finding that I can let go, but then I get totally let go. Like I'm like, I go 100 miles an hour towards one thing, and then these other will be like, I forgot about that. I didn't work out. I didn't eat good, and then I get into that cycle of guilt that I'm like, I'm not doing it well.
Yeah.
So
how do you do it all?
My point is like, to begin with, this is my interview, my discovery. What would you recommend when you feel like that you want to do it all, but you don't know how to manage that, right? Because I don't know how to straddle that line, and I don't know that I want to. I feel I'm always like, going sideways.
I think you're doing great from everything I can see.
Oh.
I do believe you can do it all, but you really have to lean into your season. And your season. Your season, your season, your season. And this is especially as the women, we get distracted because our season might be okay. Parents are doing good, kids are becoming independent, we can do all the things, but then we can have a friend who is in the thick of littles, and that's a season. We can have another friend who has elder parents and is in her season. So when I say think about your season and what you need to do for you, it's very important, because when we look at other people and we're like, man, I wish I had that. Yeah, but like check her season. Like, it's not apples to apples, and it never will be, right? I remember when I had little kids and 2 under 2, and I was like, man, like I want to do all of that, but it was in my time. I couldn't. It was just not going to work out. But now all those things that I wanted to do, I can do because my boys are a little bit older, right? So it's all seasons. So to go back to your point, how do you do it all? Besides identifying your core values and doing a time audit, is truly thinking about your season of life and what makes sense. And having all of those goals and not feeling like you can't do them. You just have to pick what makes sense with the current life stage that you are in. And I'm old school, so I love like whiteboarding and writing. So I will constantly keep writing all my ideas and goals. And then based on the time that I have and the season and all the things, I'll pull in what makes sense. You know what I mean? So, and that's how you're able to do it all. You just can't do all of it today. You can't just do all of it in the next 2 months. And it's really leaning into those various seasons and doing a self-reflection on, okay, I get it, man, my friend, she's going ham, she's doing all the things, but her responsibilities and challenges are different from mine, and these are mine, and based off of that, here's where I'm going to have to, focus my time and energy on. And it's really being locked in onto your tunnel vision, and most importantly, that's when the core values come into play. Because look, you may want to create content, and Susie over there is blown up on content, but maybe you're dealing with stuff and you're just like, okay, right now my core values and my time audit is going to lean towards family and all of that. So, it's going to be 1 post a week versus, man, she'd be posting out 8 times a day, right? So it's really staying locked into what makes sense for you. Not only paying attention to your season, but being truly honest with yourself and staying locked in and not being hard, because a lot of us are out there staring at others and saying, dang, like I'm a failure because they're doing it, I'm not. We don't know what they're going through. And on the other flip side, it could be, oh, she's doing too much because you're a hater. Don't be a hater. I'd rather you be the other, but don't be a hater. We're not here for any haters. But to answer your question, I would self-reflect on the season and make sure that it is realistic. I always tell my clients, those that aren't successful at achieving their goals is because they're not realistic on the goals that they're setting. You can't say, I want to create a website. I want to plan a big elaborate wedding and, be on 10 podcasts, like in 3, like you, no. Like,
I'm laughing because I'm like,
be
I'm
realistic.
like, why am my to-do list so long?
Yeah, like be realistic. Be realistic.
Yeah.
Don't. I always tell people, don't take it off your to-do list. If that is your goal and your dream, leave it and keep staring at it because it will speak to you. And not only will it speak to you, but like if you wrote it in pen, one is gonna just shine darker in ink, and that's the one you end up following because you're like, you know what? I actually am going to do the shirts. I wanted to make shirts. We're going to make shirts.
Yes.
And that other thing, I don't know. I think I'm going to white it out. I don't think it resonates,
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
What a great tip.
Yeah. I think it starts with clarity, but then getting the clarity. So that's why.
That's what you just gave us a big tip.
What else is something we talked about values for someone who wants to step into like the bigger, bolder version of themselves? Where would they start?
Also doing a people audit.
Yeah. The energy around people.
Yes.
Yes.
You have to do a people audit. I mean, you genuinely do. We outgrow people, and especially culturally, I think we are just so afraid of distancing ourselves from certain relationships because, well, it's my mom's friend's friend, and we've been friends forever. So like that means we're gonna ride or die. It's really having the courage and bravery to do a people audit and removing people, sometimes cold turkey and sometimes distance, because it may not be necessary to just cut them completely out. It might just be like, hey, we used to grab happy hour every Thursday, maybe we're going to do it just quarterly. And the reason I say that is because it frees up your time. And you realize, wow, I'm not spending time with people that I realize were draining me or not helping me grow. But it also gives you clarity because you don't have noise in your head. I used to catch myself anytime I was in the car driving, I would just be catching up with everyone. And, because it just made sense to me. But then I came to realize that, man, if I didn't call that person, they didn't call me.
Yeah.
And then you start going down another rabbit hole. And then rather than me pursuing whatever goals I had, I'm spending time and energy on nonsense that made no sense. So for those looking to step into their next bold version, besides identifying your core values, besides doing a time audit, is really doing a people audit. I swear, when you start removing and cleansing people and relationships that don't make you feel so giddy and happy and inspired, like your life will change when you just remove the negativity. And it may not even be intentional. Like they could be good people, but that doesn't mean they're good people for you now. And especially those that are like looking for more, it really comes down to the fact that people that are probably in their life aren't giving them that. And so that's one of the red flags and an indicator. And then when you start working on yourself and doing all those things, they're either going to jump on the train, feel inspired to say, okay, Paul and Gabby are doing all these things. I'm inspired. I'm going to join in. Or they're going to try to rip you down and slow you back. And that's because not everyone's going to be on that path, right? Yeah. You outgrow people. Like we hear that all the time. It's very true. And it's growing. And it's okay though. Yeah. It's okay.
I found that it is. Yeah. And being okay with that emotionally. Because again, we've been taught, right? Like
you don't break relationships.
And keep the people around, and it doesn't matter what, even if they, it's like draining for you. Yeah. So we're familiar with that.
Since we talk a lot about Delulu energy and kind of being delusional, even like when we talked a little bit earlier about like one of the podcast guests, just put it out there. Yay. What role does belief or that Delulu energy play in leadership growth?
Ooh, that's a good one. You should just be a Delulu leader, honestly. Right? And what I mean by that, there is no perfect way to lead. I think those that lead well are ones that are leading how it makes sense for them. You can learn from people. You can feel inspired by people. You can read books and learn tools and all the things. But learn to make it your own, because that's going to make it feel organic, right? Like if my leadership style is X, Y, and Z, and you're over here trying to mimic it, that's not a Delulu leader. That's like a knockoff, you know? Yeah. So embrace all the learnings and be able to showcase that with your own flavor, your own Delulu magic, right? Because we're all leaders. I always tell all my kids, all 2 of them, they're 7.5 and 9. And I've been telling them since they're toddlers, I'm like, you are a leader. Leadership starts immediately. When you're on the playground and someone pushes someone, you go be a leader and stand up for them. You know, when you're at school and you see a kid eating alone and you're like, oh, dang, go be a leader and sit with them. Leadership is not by a title. It is all by choice, right? And so to be a Delulu leader, to me, is truly having the courage to bring out the best in people, and that starts with you having the courage to be you.
Very good. Yeah, showing up as yourself.
That's where it starts, and I wish that's so amazing that you're teaching that from like early on, you know.
It starts at home.
Because we know better. Our parents, again, didn't know, like, that was something, being authentic, being vulnerable, being, you know, that's all part of like leadership. So that's so amazing.
Thank you.
Ourselves. You want to wrap it up, Paula?
Yeah.
We always close it out. Paula's got a question.
Yes.
We gave a lot of tips to the listeners and YouTubers.
Yeah. What would you tell your 18-year-old self?
Oh. Yeah, it got me a little emotional. That you're fine exactly how you are. I think I spent majority of my life, including a lot of my adulthood, trying to be every person but myself. Embarrassed of my background, embarrassed of my Delulu-ness, whatever. And I would only show a sprinkle of that to few people I felt safe with. But when I realized I just needed to shed those people and embrace just being me, and it's okay because I'm pretty awesome, like, life changes. And I don't need to hide any part of me. And my people will find me. And those are the ones I'm meant for, professionally and personally.
It's beautiful.
I love that. Yeah. I absolutely love that. Yeah. And hopefully that resonates with some people, because I think too many of us hide these little parts of ourselves. And how boring would it be that we're all exactly the same? You know, I spent a lot of time, just like you, in corporate. I went into pharmaceutical sales right after college, and everyone just looked different. And I was like, I gotta fit in, you know, and I'm gonna or act this way or look this way or dress this way. And now that I'm older, I'm like, oh, like, I don't even have to talk like a certain, you just be you, and accept people for exactly who they are. And your tribe will always find you.
They will always find you.
God, this has been so much fun.
You guys are amazing.
Thank you.
You too. These questions.
Tell people a little bit about where they can find you, how they can reach out to you, your Instagram, just, you know, anything that you want to share.
All the things. Awesome. On Instagram, you can find me at Dhara's World. My website is www.coachingwithdhara.com, or on LinkedIn. I've been dabbling in TikTok. That one's not as like profession businessy. That's just me trying to be a little ratchet out there, trying to get inspo from Mama Jer back there. And or you could just email me at hello@coachingwithdhara.com. Yeah.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Well, thank you so much, Dhara.
Thank you for having me. Yes. You guys are best.
Thank you. Don't forget to subscribe and like.
And we'll see you next time.
Stay Delulu and make it happen.
Let's go.